Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. This is a beautiful evening. It is now presently 7:30 p.m., and we'd like to welcome you to Being Resilient, focusing on your purpose and vision. I am Pastor Timothy Sands, the pastor of St. Paul AME Church, located in the great city of Madison, Georgia, and I am glad to be able to have on with us for this evening. We have Dr. Shawania Marshall, and we are so elated to have her as our special guest for this evening as we share a little bit of information to kind of get you through again about being resilient. Now, I trust and hope that as some of you get ready for the game time this evening, of the Milwaukee Bucks and the Oklahoma City Thunder, which is at 8:30 p.m. This is just a preview of what you will get, something more exciting than the NBA on ABC. So with that being said, good evening, Dr. Marshall. We're glad to have you and welcome virtually.
Good evening, Pastor Sands, and thank you for having me.
More than welcome. So we're gonna go ahead and get started this evening. And Dr. Marshall, if you don't mind, I have a two-part question here. I'm gonna ask you one of the first part first, if you don't mind, and that is, would you share with the virtual audience this evening what um, what exactly what being resilient means to you?
Okay, when I think about the word resilient, it means to be able to withstand whatever life may throw at you, whatever obstacle or challenge that we may encounter in life. It's the opportunity to understand that no matter what challenge, no matter what obstacle may come our way, that we are able to withstand it. We are able to bounce back. We are truly able to recover. So, from a personal perspective, I've encountered various challenges over the years. And I think about the opportunities that God has allowed me, that when I may have fallen, when I may have been placed in a situation where I incurred a challenge or obstacle, I didn't stay there. I didn't stay in a state where when I fail, I didn't get back up. So when you're resilient, you're able to bounce back, you're able to recover. You're not going to allow the trials and the tribulations that we are going to encounter as human beings to truly break you to the point that you can't see your way out of those challenges. You can't see the opportunity that you can recover. So, resilient is a really powerful word. It is just saying it itself carries so much weight. And so, for me, that's truly what being resilient is all about.
Wow. So the other part of that question I would like to ask is, can you share, or would you please share what focusing on your purpose means to you?
Okay, so when I think about focusing on your purpose, it's truly understanding that you have to continue looking straight ahead. And I say that figuratively. When you're focused on your purpose, you understand why you were created. You truly understand why you were established, why God divinely ordained for you to be here on this earth. And so all of us, we have a purpose. And so for me, I really, really, as a person that really believes in firm, staying steadfast in my faith, I'm grateful that the way I was raised as a young woman, understanding that God's word will forever stand. And so just as I think about, my childhood, my teenage years, and as even into my adult years, I've always known my purpose. Now, as a kid, you kind of operate in the way of how your parents guide you, your grandparents guide you, and you do certain things just because you were told to do it.
Mm.
And for me, I think about I was raised in the church, and one of the things that my mom always really and I'll kind of share this to kind of add into context. She was over our program committee. So we were always on program.
Wow.
Were always participating. And so I just developed a passion for, speaking and, things that we would do in our church. And I just truly enjoyed the gift of God just blessing me to really being able to speak. And then I would see the impact that I would have on people, whether it was through, I could, through their eyes, I could see how they looked at me like they were really intensely, just really engaged. And even people would walk up to me and say, well, wow, that was powerful. And the more that people did that to me as I got older, I just began to really think about, this is deeper than just me standing up in front of an audience speaking. Like God has really, truly blessed me. And part of my purpose that I really began to take on is encouraging and empowering. So we talk about purpose. Purpose is something that you truly know deep down in your heart you get enjoyment out of doing it. Even when you're not doing it, you miss doing it and you enjoy it so much because you see how other people can benefit from it. And so when I think about just my purpose in life, and it's not just, speaking, there are different aspects of my life that I know that God has called me, to a higher calling for. But one of them, when I really think about even like tonight, is the gift of, speaking, the gift of me being an educator, because through my advocacy, that is definitely part of my purpose because I truly take pride in being able to help others, to serve others, to see how others can take what I can provide them with, whether it's knowledge, whether it's something tangible, but it helps to benefit them. So when we talk about purpose, it's knowing why you are here, why God created you, because we are all here for a purpose. We just
Yes.
weren't one day, oh, our mom gave birth and we're here. We all have a calling, we all have a purpose, but you have to truly know deep down in your heart. And it's something that comes with maturity too. Sometimes I think about, just being a teacher, sometimes as young kids, young teenagers, depending on like the dynamics of your circumstances in your community, you kind of understand because it's something that you've just been accustomed to, been around. And sometimes it may take years for people to truly realize what their purpose is. But whatever your purpose is, it's going to feel like something is just eating away at you. You get excited when you do it. You really see the ramifications of what you do, and it gives you gratification. It's not about what somebody is going to give you because you did it. When you do it, you know without a shadow of a doubt when you sit down, when you go home at night, when you're done, that wow, I made a difference. So understanding that your purpose is something that's really going to give you that extraordinary feeling that nobody can take away from you because it's your purpose. It's your calling.
Oh, that is powerful, very impactful. So now you established unapologetically empowered and purpose in 2020. Would you share how this organization connects to your purpose?
Yes, sir. So around 2020, we were all in a state where when COVID hit. And so it's so crazy when I think about it. I remember it just vividly because when COVID hit, it placed all of us in a situation where I felt as though God really was able to talk to some of us even more. We couldn't do anything. You were stuck in your home. And so I had often thought about creating my own brand, but I never knew what I wanted to do because in a sense, I felt as though, I would see people establish their own businesses, entrepreneurship, and I'm like, I don't know if I can do it. But when COVID hit, I was really placed in a situation where God just really started talking to me even more. And he gave me the vision. You know your purpose that you truly know that I really work in you to help other people. And you have been impactful. So God gave me the vision, and when I created it back then, it was named Women of Empowerment and Purpose. And
Mhm.
God gave me that vision. And so I knew that it was God instantaneously because I was up in the middle of the night, sometimes at 3 or 4 o'clock, creating a 5-year vision plan. That's how I knew it was God divinely ordaining me to walk in this purpose. And so I've always believed in empowerment, encouragement, just women really being united, being supportive of each other and just encouraging each other. And so when I created, I began to think about, creating this organization with like-minded women. And so we did launch the organization in 2020 together. I was the founder, I had my co-founders, and then we were together for 2 years. And then after the 2-year period, as I went back and looked at my vision plan, God gives us those moments where we have to really come back and sit down and think about things, especially when you're establishing your brand. And really when you're thinking about taking it to the next level. And so when I was placed in a position 2 years later after the fact, when I got sick, I really looked at my life holistically. And my organization was one of those things that I really sat down and thought about where we were going. Now, God had blessed us and we had a magnificent time leading this organization together, but I was really placed in a situation when I thought about elevation and taking it to another level. And so the vision that God provided for me was to pivot in a sense. And so I in my mindset, I really wanted to launch this organization in a capacity that we didn't stay stagnant, that we took it to another level. And so the vision was then, okay, I wanted to rebrand, and it's still all about women empowering women. It's all about encouragement and uplift, but I wanted to reframe the name because I did take somewhat of a different path, but it's still all about being rooted in the scripture, women empowerment. And so the name that I decided to rebrand this year was Unapologetically Empowered in Purpose, because that word apologetically is so powerful, it's so deep. A lot of times we get so misconstrued about what society may portray how women should look, how women should act. And I've had to learn through my own personal experiences, and this goes all the way back to my teenage years. You have to love you for you. You have to truly embrace and know when you look in the mirror that you matter. And so when I think about that word unapologetically, we have to be unapologetically me and you. And so that phrase for me is so powerful. And so we kind of talked a little bit about this. The reason I wanted to reframe it is because I know how I grew up. I knew I was rooted in the church. So, the word is in me. It's no matter what may have happened over the course of my life, I always revert back to the word. That's where my strength comes from. But there are some people who may not have had that foundation. And so through this organization, I may not initially connect with them by speaking a scripture, but I may be able to connect with them by saying a quote or words of encouragement. And through that, it still may draw them to Christ, because I want people to understand and women to understand, be unapologetically who you are, but it's all about positivity, because I want people to embrace themselves being a woman. But to me, my hope is through seeing me, hearing me, that they can see the light of God in me, and then it will bring them and draw them to God. Because to me, it's all about, through my organization, really and truly giving God the glory. It's not about me. And that's why Unapologetically Empowered in Purpose exists. It's bigger than me. It's not about me. It's all about people truly understanding the power and the amazing power of God and who He is. And so that's why this organization was established. And
Wow.
you had a second part to this question, and so I'm gonna need you to ask me that again.
Yeah, sure. We actually covered it, but let me just sure. So, I think I went back and I said
I
you
remember you said,
share.
how
Yeah,
does it
you should.
connect to my purpose?
You're right.
And I didn't
So,
really talk about that.
yes, yes.
So
So,
I'm
so
sorry.
yeah. So yes, you definitely hit it. You hit it right out of the park.
Awesome.
If you like baseball, I don't know. But any rate, so if people want to join your group, unapologetically empowered and purposes, how could they? And if they wanted to listen to your empowerment hour segments or power talks, how could they have this opportunity to listen and learn more about your amazing organization?
Okay, if people want to join Unapologetically Empowered and Purpose, I recently, a few weeks ago, established a Facebook group. So what I have done is I've actually began sending out invites, but what I am going to do, and I will do this for you, my goal is to actually post on my page on Facebook, and I will actually do it on all of my social media platforms by tomorrow, so that way people can see like, hey, this is the Facebook group on Unapologetically Empowered and Purpose. So they would just literally, submit that they want to join. And there's just going to be like a question when people request, because one of the things about me, I am very intentional. And people who join this group, I'm really looking for like-minded women. Like we all have the same vision. It's all about women empowerment. It's not about negativity. It's all about positivity. So
Mhm.
those are the women that I want in the group. So it is a private group. So it's already established, but I am going to, like I said, post the link on, I have a Facebook page, my personal page. So I will post it there. I will also post it on my Instagram. So my Instagram business page is it's WOEAP 2020.com. So that's the Instagram business page. And I will also post it on my LinkedIn page so that people can see, oh, this is her business page. And that way, even though my personal page of Facebook is private, they can still submit a request to join my group. So that is the opportunity to join Unapologetically Empowered and Purpose. And I do want to say this because this is, a new process of me establishing this group. One of the things I am asking women who join, because, and I've been guilty of this sometimes, joining groups and I go dormant. And I realize if I'm going to join a group, I want to be intentional about being a part of it, especially on social media. Now, outside of that, I'm very intentional, but the social media side of me I'm evolving. So with the group part, this is my baby, this is my brand. So I post periodically, weekly. But people who join the group, my ask is that even if you post once a week, something that's encouraging. It's a quote or something that happened to you, and it's uplifting. Or even if you just feel like, hey, you want someone to just, keep you in prayer. That's what I'm looking for. And I understand with life, you sometimes you just get so caught up. I've never been a social media person. So now I'm having to be more attention. So I totally understand that people may not be able to share anything on a weekly basis. But my only ask is that even if you just post once a week, twice a month, just being engaged and involved is just something I ask because I know life happens. So that's my ask, and that's what I do want to share for people that want to join. The second part of what you were asking me, if they want to watch or learn more about me, for example, on tomorrow night, December the 18th at 7 o'clock, I will have a live traditional empowerment hour that will stream from Facebook. So part of what I would do once I started my organization, I would do live empowerment hours or power talks, and they will occur monthly. And so tomorrow is the last one that I will hold for the year. And it just happens to fall on tomorrow. So people want to learn more about me and my passion and how I just truly just really love God and know who he is. You can watch that segment. Also throughout the year, I have also done what's called Power Talks, and it could be anything from just a segment where I may have had a guest that talked about mental health awareness, whether it was a counselor, someone who talked about financial literacy, someone who talked about whether it was education. So I often do Power Talks too. So because I feel as though with me launching this organization, Unapologetically Empowered and Purpose, Yes, it's rooted in the word, but God gives us gifts and talents that we can help each other. And so when I bring someone on to share their knowledge about mental health awareness, that's helping, that's supporting, that's uplifting. Or if someone is talking about financial literacy, something that people may not have learned along the way and they had to learn the hard way. I've had someone to talk about that. So, there's actually some segments out there that I actually have on my YouTube channel. So I do want to share that. And the YouTube channel, you can find me as WOEAP 2020. That's the YouTube channel. You type in my name, you can pull it up on YouTube as well. There are some clips, some previous clips, whether they're traditional empowerment hours. I'm sorry, an empowerment hour segment or a power talk. And so they can find me definitely on YouTube. I will add to that the last part, after I finished my dissertation, and another part of what God really gave me a vision to start is the educated Black female perspective. And
Wow.
so that for me is powerful. And so that's just another aspect of me, but that's from the Shawana, the educator, the Dr. Marshall, where I feel as though as a community, when I talk about my purpose, that is definitely wholeheartedly something that I'm passionate about, educating our community, providing though that sense of empowerment to our community about different things that are going on in society that we need to be aware of. And I take pride in my Black community. And so this was something that I actually just started a few months ago. And that's something that I will carry over into 2025. It is the educated Black female perspective, various topics that I know wholeheartedly that we need to talk about in our Black community. So that's not just about women, it's about our community and things that we need to be aware of and talk about. So they can actually find that under Dr. Shawana Marshall because that exists under that YouTube channel. And so I know, Pastor Sands, you did post like on your page, and I have it on mine. If you want to learn more about me, you can actually go to my page. I do have my own personal page, and it will take you to all the different social media platforms that I do have. And so the last part that I would like to share with everyone too, I did just launch my own educational consulting company. So if they want to learn more about that, Prestige Educational Consulting, please feel free to take a look at that. I am a 20-year educator. I've seen it all, I've experienced it all, and I know that God has blessed me to be an asset to all people, especially when it comes down to education. I'm no longer in the classroom, but in my heart, I always will have that. I still have a heart for my teachers. I have a heart for educators. And so through this, I am offering services, whether it's family services, where people may need a support, whether it's tutorial services, resume writing, and then also on the level of at the collegiate level, because I finished my dissertation, I am offering services that center around if people need support with writing a dissertation. And so that's just one thing, but I do want to add the last part of that, district services. Like I said, I am a 20-plus-year educator, and I thank God for the ability to have had strong classroom management skills. I also thank him for the ability to be able to talk about those topics that sometimes people are a little intimidated about or feel as though we need to shy away from, like bias,
Mm.
stereotypes, diversity, equity, and inclusion. So through establishing that educational consultant company, my hope is that in the future that I can be part of the social positive change of coming into school districts and providing professional development training. So that's a little bit about the things that I am doing, I have going on, but also how people can find out more about me.
Wow. That is interesting. And can you state the name of that other uh, business again? A Prestige. You want to make sure
Prestige,
everybody.
Prestige Educational Consulting. Yes, sir.
Okay. Prestige Educational Consultant.
Yes, sir.
All right. And see, that's what I mean by leaders developing leaders. But then she takes it down, women developing women leaders. So women leaders developing women leaders. And I think that's just a positive piece. All right, I just had to say that. I'm sorry. So you also created your platform titled the educated Black female perspective. Can you share with everyone what led you to creating this powerful platform?
Yes, sir. So I did share a little bit about, but I do think it's important to, give you the backstory. So I'm glad you asked that question. When I finished my dissertation, I'll never forget the day that I defended. I was blessed to have an amazing chair and an amazing second. And they asked me after I defended, what are you going to do with your dissertation? And I said, great question. I'm open to suggestions. Now I knew and I shared with them, I definitely want to put it out there because to me, I invested a lot of time. And my topic was something that I was truly passionate about. And so I do want to share my topic because it adds to why I actually created this platform. So my dissertation topic was the lived experiences of African American females when seeking leadership in elementary and secondary education.
Mm,
I chose that topic intentionally because I've experienced my own personal challenges with elevating, and I've seen the disproportionalities that exist for women of color, people who look like me. And it has been, you know, there has been obstacles that I've had to try to overcome. And I'm still not totally where I want to be in my career, but I'm grateful for where I am because I am a district leader. But through my own personal experiences, through this dissertation, it was more of a revelation that we still have so much more work to do in our community. And I mean, across the United States. And that topic for me was so profound because I realized that even now in the year 2024, when I started on it 2023, my mindset was we cannot still be in the United States where women of color are experiencing challenges when they seek leadership. Because when I think about how hard many of us work to create a name for ourselves, but you may not get that opportunity years down the line, but someone who is less qualified can get the opportunity, it's unacceptable. And
mm,
so when I had this conversation with my chair, my second, they said, well, Dr. Marshall, they said, well, seek out opportunities to share about the elements and key pieces of your dissertation. I said, okay. So I started searching out, looking and see where there are opportunities to share my proposal. But I realized while I'm waiting, while I am seeking for someone to, ask me, hey, do you want to talk about your proposal? You can also create your opportunity. And so that's why I created the Educated Black Female Perspective, because now, while I'm waiting, I've created my own opportunity to talk about these key things that are affecting Black females as they seek leadership, whether it's stereotyping, being that like the angry Black female, whether it's being that strong Black woman, confident who you are, but I feel a sense of intimidation because of that. And so this platform, as I was really praying about it and just talking to God and just really seeing how I could really just create a plan for it, it's just the way he was divinely giving me these ideas. It was like when I started my women empowerment organization. So I knew it was God because every time he would give me a different spin on it or a different aspect, I was making notes. I was just
mm,
writing it down. And so I knew that it was God really speaking to me, like, what your chair is shared. Go ahead and create your platform. Don't wait on somebody else to create it. And so that's why I exist. And that's why, and I do want to add this when we talked about my women empowerment organization, moving to Atlanta was different for me. When I was back home in Alabama, people knew me. They knew what I could do. They knew my family. They knew what I stood for. But when I moved to Atlanta, it was like I felt like I had to just build a name for myself. And for people who live in the metro Atlanta or inner city, you're a needle in a haystack. And it was something for me that really bothered me because I loved the gift of the gift that God had blessed me with through speaking. And so for me, that was another reason that I established my organization, because I realized I don't have to wait on somebody in the church to call me to speak or somebody in the community ask me to speak. Create your own platform. If God
exactly.
has created you to be a vessel for him, you don't have to wait on man to create that opportunity. You can create your own opportunity. So that's another major reason that I have to go back and share with everyone. That's really one of the major reasons that my empowerment organization exists. Coming from a small community, it was nothing for people to ask me because they already knew they saw how I operated, how I lived through my, just how I operated in my life. So for me, it was like I'm here in Atlanta and I'm like, I felt enclosed. I
Mm,
felt like I never had the opportunity to really speak and talk and share about the goodness of God, but also sharing with people like my personal experience and how good God has been to me. And if he's done it for me, then he will surely do it for you. And so I missed it. And so for me, I really have to share that with people because sometimes we can hinder our own selves from progressing and elevating at that level in our God-given gifts because we're waiting on man to give us that opportunity. And
mm,
I just got to a place where I said to myself, I'm not waiting on any man to give me this opportunity. I know what God has birthed in me. And so I'm going to bring it to fruition. So to your initial question, that is why the educated Black female perspective exists. I love who I am. I take pride in being a strong Black woman. And for me, I want to continue to be that inspiration, that motivation for other sisters, other Black women, other people of minorities who feel as though they have been in a place where people won't allow them to grow. They're hindering their progress and they want to elevate and they feel as though like they can't truly be themselves. And I want women to understand, be who you are, love who you are, be authentic. Even if people see us a certain way, still be confident and knowing that it is okay to be strong and be confident and be of the minority. Just because some people may see you a certain way, that's on them and that's between them and God. But as long as you know you're using it for the good and you're doing what's right, walk in it and be confident in it. And so I just wanted to share that.
and I must let me digress for a second back because you we I kind of missed this and I really wanted to key in on it because I got a chance to review some of your dissertation and it was very enlightening, if you will, qualitative work, just awesome. But at any rate, so I'd like to talk a little bit about your educational journey. Um, you recently, of course, completed your Ph.D. in public policy and administration. So, why did you pursue the Ph.D. in public policy and administration?
That's a great question. Well, when I moved to Atlanta, I was at that point around maybe my 15th, I believe 15th year in education. And when I moved here, I was working at a school and I endured some unexpected challenges that year. And it's ironic that you asked me because I shared a little bit about this in a previous Monday post. And I never thought when I came into the field of being a teacher that I would ever encounter challenges for trying to do the right thing. And so, long story short, I experienced some unfortunate circumstances on my job that year. And I'll never forget when the principal asked me before hiring me, would I have a problem being honest? And I said, no. I said, that's my character. That's who I am. I never thought that being honest and doing your job ethically, morally, would place me in a position where I would experience backlash, harassment. It was one of the hardest times in my educational career. And I was a coordinator serving over a department that dealt with, it was basically, I was an SST coordinator. So students that had disabilities, 504, I had to ensure that our school staff understood the process so we could ensure that we were providing the supports for students, but also families knew their rights. And it was a fairly new charter school. So unfortunately, they didn't understand what I did because I had already had 15 years of experience. I knew what the RTI process looked like. I made sure I attended district trainings. So as I embarked on that year, by the time October arrived, I noticed that there were some conversations where I was being brought in, asked, questioning what I was doing. And I was like, okay, well, this is the process, this is the expectation, these are the expectations. Mind you, I did at the beginning of the year training. So everyone was aware. But through that beginning stage of the year, it became apparent, and it was just very obvious that unfortunately my leader at the time had relationships with certain people where he couldn't separate being a professional from being friends. And when you're in a school system, you have to understand, like when you're a leader, number one, even just being on the staff, it's about professionalism first. So me trying to do the right thing by, educating the staff, having PDs, making sure families knew their rights, and making sure we were doing our part. I started slowly experiencing where I was getting communications treated differently, being prevented from attending meetings that I should have been a part of. And I always kept a paper trail. I always responded professionally, trying to get clarity. And unfortunately, it continued and it got so bad by the time January came, I had a seizure on the job. That's how stressful it had gotten. And I share this with people because before it got to that point, I wanted to leave, but I knew I couldn't because the conversation that I had with my mom, and we would talk often, I'm like, I was like, Mom, I don't understand. Like, I have no clue. Why me? Why am I going through this? Because I'm doing the right thing. And I never will forget, as my mom and I were talking, God just really gave me this vision. He said to me that, Shawana, you were placed here to be the light in a dark place. That is the only way that I could come back every day. I would be in my office every day, just listen to gospel just to get me through the day, listen to the word just to get me through the day, and just believing and understanding that it's not about me. It's about your children. It's about your families. You're here for a reason. God placed you here to be a light in a dark place. That is the only way I made it. So going through that experience and having a seizure on my job because of the buildup of the stress, is I even talked to my doctor and I was like, well, what happened? I take my medicine, what happened? He's like, everything is fine. And the only thing that we could connect it to was because he did ask me what was going on in my life. And that was the most stressful thing that was going on. And so it escalated even after that. In my mind, I'm thinking, surely if you get sick on the job, people will back off a little bit. They'll give you some breather room. They won't keep just pushing the button, making it harder. But it kept going on and on. So as I went through that experience, and this kind of adds to why I got my PhD, I remember because I remember being a part of my educator organization that year because I knew when I was at a charter school that was new, something told me join the Georgia Association of Educators because if something happens and goes south, you have people that will fight for you. And so through that process, my UniServe director, I'll never forget her. She guided me through the process. She told me what to do. She told me how to follow back up in emails, documentation. And through that, going through that experience, when it finally escalated to the point in March, when it was time for us to decide if we were going to come back, I requested an evaluation because I knew enough to know everybody gets an evaluation, and my administrators had not evaluated me all year long. And I knew that I had no plans of coming back, but I wanted my evaluation because I knew that if I wasn't coming back, I needed to have documentation to show my work ethic. And so at that point, because I knew my rights, I knew enough about the educational process. When they gave me my evaluation, Pastor Sands, the highest you could get, and a lot of school districts they're leery about giving you, like, I guess, exemplar because they want to show you have room for improvement. Well, I had the level that was a 3. I got the 3, which was next to a 4 in every category except for leadership. My administrator gave me needs development and leadership. And when I saw my evaluation, it was a moment where I literally almost lost it because now you're attacking my character. Now you're attacking my work ethic because from August to March, if I needed development, guess what? You should have been giving me trainings, professional development, guidance. But all of a sudden, when I request an evaluation, you decide to tell me in March, you need development in leadership. So at that point, I remember calling my UNICEF director and I said, Karen, this is what they have now done. She said, Shawana, I'm going to call our lawyer for the GAE. And she said, I'm going to explain to him what is now transpired. This was on a Friday afternoon. I'll never forget our lawyer from the GAE called me on that Friday afternoon. He said, Shawana, he said, I talked to the executive director. I explained to him that now we are now involved in this process. Now your educator organization is involved. And he said to me, your executive director clearly communicated that if you're willing to back down and not pursue a lawsuit, then they will change your evaluation to where it was the level 3, where you're now showing that, hey, you have met the expectations. And so I said, look, I am fine. I said, for the moment, I said, what I will do, as long as they change that from needs development to met the expectation or exceed expectations, I'm okay. And so at that point, he called me back and he said he will give you a new evaluation on Monday. So that happened on that Friday, on that Monday morning. And this is how God works. And this is why you hear me talk about God the way I do, because nobody could have done this but God. The same executive director that walked into my office giving me this inaccurate evaluation on Friday was the same executive director that had to walk into my office on that Monday morning and hand me my brand new evaluation where it said she met expectations. And I get chills when I think about that, because I'm like, you know, this is the power of God. And this is when you have, you know, you have favor too with God, and things may not always go right or go the way you want them, because that year by far was so challenging. But through that experience, when I saw how God was just still on my side, and how, you know, my evaluation was presented to me, and personally, I still think it should have said exceeded expectations, but I will take the meets expectations. So I was at peace with that. So the reason that I decided to pursue my PhD, because I've always been passionate about policy, you know, law, government. And so I said, what degree can I pursue that will still have me in a place where I can learn more about policy, you know, how to write policy, how to be more of an advocate at that level. If I decided to go into politics, I would be a person that will be a powerful asset. So I started learning more about public administration. So after that year, that experience, I knew I had to get another degree. So I started with the MPA, because I decided law school, I'm going to let law school go. Because I was in between law school or getting my MPA, and I said, I'm going to make peace with law school. I'm just going to do the MPA, then I will pursue my PhD. So I did the MPA first. And then once I finished that in 2019, I decided to enroll into Walden to finish that PhD degree. And so that is why I decided to pursue my PhD in public policy administration, because I knew that God had placed me in such a position that year that I could not allow myself to not be a person that had more knowledge, more experience, more education, so that when people looked at me or people heard from me or people talked to me, that they truly understood she's not just average. She understands the process. She knows her rights, and she's going to fight for what she believes in. And so that's why I pursued my PhD in public policy and administration, because God has blessed me to have a voice. And Lord knows that year was one of the hardest times of my career, but I vowed through that experience to place myself in an even better position so that I could be a powerful asset, not just for myself, but also for other people. I never wanted to be a person that if someone needed my help or guidance, I couldn't steer them in the right direction, because I may have lacked just a little bit of knowledge. So that's why I pursued that degree. And my goal is, as I move forward, is to continue being a strong advocate to help people.
Awesome. Now, if you don't mind, even though you touched on this, but I want you to, so that people can, um, so that the audience, the viewing audience, whether live or they catch the replay, they can look at this. But I want you to, if you don't mind, if people wanted to watch your episodes in the future, how could they learn more about this? If you could just touch on that again. I think you touched on it, but just kind of, if you
Sure.
don't mind, please.
Sure, I don't. So again, on tomorrow, I do have a live stream on Facebook, and so that will be the last segment for Unapologetically Empowered and Purpose for the year. Now, I will say this, I also on Mondays on my Facebook page, so I have my personal page, like I said, that is private, but I also have my Unapologetically Empowered and Purpose. That is the actual Facebook page if women want to join. Now, if men want to watch my segments, I share things every Monday that's applicable to men and women and young people that truly understand what I'm talking about as far as motivation. So those posts cater to anybody. So they can actually see those motivational Monday posts. I actually have my unapologetically empowered and purpose Instagram, but I also have my own personal, which is Dr. Shawania Marshall. That's my personal page, and they can see my motivational Mondays. Now, I take my motivational Monday posts and I also upload them to my YouTube channel. So if anyone wants to go on YouTube and type in Dr. Shawania Marshall, you can see my motivational Monday posts. They are there. I wanted to make sure that I definitely put those in one area because believe it or not, those motivational Mondays are not just for other people. They're for me too. They help uplift me. So people who want to see them, they're on my YouTube channel. So Dr. Shawania Marshall, but also if people want to access my Unapologetically Empowered and Purpose YouTube channel, I have past traditional empowerment hours, power talks there. They are there as well. So those are the different platforms where people can learn more about me, hear some of my past segments, Motivational Mondays. I make sure that I have them in at least 3 different areas so people can definitely continue to learn and hear and just hear more encouragement and resources. So even on my personal page, but also on LinkedIn, I want to say that on LinkedIn, I share a lot of posts that deal with education, whether it's things that may even tie into diversity, equity, inclusion, because I am passionate about that. So a lot of LinkedIn posts, they're about positivity, they're about education. So things that are things that can help the community. So that is another platform people can seek out. I just don't typically post my motivational Mondays on LinkedIn, but they can see empowerment posts and posts that tie into education or empowerment.
Perfect then. Perfect. So last but not least, I tell you, I'm just really enjoying here. But what are some of your upcoming speaking engagements? If you could just kind of, you mentioned one, but I want you to, if you don't mind, just kind of retouch on that, if you will.
Yes, sir, sure. So in March of next year, March the 8th of 2025, I will actually be serving as a speaker at the Sister Circle Summit in Gwinnett County. So they can actually see that on my page as well. I actually have that posted. Dr. Marcia Cradle, she is actually the organizer of that event, and this is the 7th annual Sister Circle Summit. And I am truly honored to be in the midst of other women who will be speaking at that summit. And so for me, I do want to share that with people. If you want to attend, she actually has the tickets already on Eventbrite. So that Friday night there will be a gala, then the speaking event will be on that Saturday where you get an opportunity to hear the various speakers. So definitely take advantage of that. I am super excited because it has been a while since I've actually spoken at a conference. And so that's the that's the one that's up and coming, that's kind of on a larger scale, but still in January of next year for the entire year. I will have different segments. So what people can do, I actually have a website. And so it's www.woeap.com. That is the website for my Unapologetically Empowered and Purpose. So what I do, I post everything that's going on for the year. So there's usually going to be either a power talk or an empowerment hour. So as this year closes out, please look for in the beginning of January, you will see a new calendar where it would actually specifically lay out from January to December what will be going on, what I will be doing with my organization.
Perfect. Well, I tell you the truth, it has been a just a wonderful time getting a chance to, enlighten um, people and individuals, and I know that there's truly the best is definitely yet to come for not only you but anybody that you encounter, because there's a blessing definitely with their name on it, and so you continue to inspire. You've inspired me since I came to know you, and you definitely are a very, very intelligent um, young lady, if you will. That is definitely not, God is not through with her yet, and she's definitely a blessing. So again, we just want to say thank you for coming and sharing your background with us, and and a way to move forward, if you will. So we just can't say thank you enough for your time, and I trust that for those NBA fans, you have plenty of time to jump on and watch the Oklahoma and Milwaukee. Or if you just need some sweet potato pie and some mac and cheese, hopefully you'll get that as well. So with that being said, Dr. Marshall, I just want to say thank you. You have any other closing remarks?
I just want to say thank you, Pastor Sands, for just reaching out. And the one thing I've learned through this experience is that you just never know who's watching. So I just want to say thank you because just connecting with you, I didn't even know who you were until you reached out. And then I was like, it's just amazing how God just divinely allows people to cross paths. So I just want to say thank you to you, your community, for having me on, because I truly believe that we all can be a blessing to others. And that's how I truly just want to continue to live my life, is just allowing the God in me, the light in me, to just continue being a blessing to other people. So thank you. And I just pray that you continue to be blessed in your community.
Thank you so much. And it's interesting how people say, "Do you live in the city of Madison?" I say, "No. I travel through 18 cities round trip and 12 counties every Sunday. And when I have to make a special trip to Madison, that's the routine. So everybody is the community, pretty much, because I may be in this grocery store here and this store here." Visiting as well. So it's just that's what it's all about. And one thing I want to close on, and I learned something yesterday. I was in one of my favorite grocery stores, and people are love the self checkout. I do not care for self checkout. I want to go and meet someone new, and meet someone that maybe just need a pickup. But it's interesting how that person um, enlightened my spirit, and I'm going to have that individual come on the platform sometime in March. And we're really going to have a major conversation piece, how people tend to look over you. And we're going to deal with that. But at any rate, you just never want to overlook anybody, and you just never know who you might meet. So
Amen.
again, it is a blessing. So again, thank you, Dr. Marshall. Have a wonderful evening, and as always, to my entire community, you know how to reach me if you need me. God bless. Have a wonderful Tuesday evening and the rest of this great week. Awesome.